Hey, it's Kaylee. You know me as the Parts Girl, and I work here at PartsEdge. Thanks for following this awesome journey as we highlight thought leaders and trailblazers, share best practices in fixed ops, and cover success stories of how dealers sell more parts and service. This is the PartsEdge podcast with Kaylee Felio. Hey everyone, welcome to the podcast. I have Chris Craig here with me from Rocketified. He is the FixedOps Content Developer, so I'm really excited to talk to him about what they're doing in parts.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me on, Kaylee. I'm really excited to talk to you about what we have coming onto the Rocket app. We're adding audiences to the Rocket app, which is always very exciting for us, and serving an area of the industry that is sadly underserved. So that is changing as of this week.
This week, wow, okay, but this is going out in August, so we're talking soon, so it's already going to be out. But when you say audiences, what does that mean?
So on the Rocket app, we have several audiences in dealerships and even outside of dealerships. And what I mean by that, service advisors, service managers, service directors, sales managers, sales associates, and technicians, we're now adding parts associates and parts managers to that audience profile.
That's huge because it's such a underserved area of the dealership. It's overlooked. There's not a lot of training. I know like over the years, being with PartsEdge, the number one thing I hear from parts managers is they basically were a really good counterperson that got thrown into the role because someone retired or left. So, and then there's no training out there. So with what you guys have developed, what are some of I think it's a large, release for you guys, right? Like, it's over 200 videos?
Yeah, 288 videos, so close to touching that 300 video mark. And it's broke down into 10 different collections. So you could consider each one of those collections a separate curriculum on a separate topic. All of that content's not just going to be bulk dropped at once. We're going to be feeding that out month after month, quarter after quarter. So there's always going to be something new coming up. It's the longest planned roadmap we've ever had for a specific category in Rocket history, which is very exciting for us.
And oh, that is so exciting. So the other thing I wanted to ask you too, because when it comes to like parts managers, like I'd mentioned, there's a lot of newer ones coming into the role, but then there's a lot that have been parts managers for 20 plus years. So if I'm a parts manager that has been doing it a long time and I'm like, how are you going to convince me to do this? Because I already feel like I know what I'm doing type of thing. So what's different about what you guys are releasing?
Yeah, I mean, the statement goes, no one ever got dumber from training, right? Nobody ever became less effective from training. To answer that, I'll step out of my role in the automotive industry and step into my role in the Army Reserve. I've been in the Army Reserve for 13 years. I'm a captain. I've held command time. I've done a lot of things in the military, and I'm on deck to attend an Army school probably next month. So we're constantly going to schools, constantly training, and constantly getting better. The Army's 251 years old, so I tend to stick with what they think one of the greatest organizations we've ever seen, capable of doing any mission, anywhere, at any time. And they train. That's what they do for a living is they train, and that's what makes that organization so effective. So that would apply to any industry, to include the automotive industry. So even a 20-year veteran would still have something, some skill somewhere that they could sharpen, especially with how often our industry innovates and changes.
That's a great point, and I forgot that you are doing that or you're involved in that. That's incredible. So, I'm gonna kind of back up into that. Oh, I just threw my pen. Um, no one saw that. But anyways, I wanna back up into that and, like, what's the question I wanna ask you? I basically wanna understand, like, why are you still doing that when you're, in this role in auto? How do you balance those 2 roles too? Like, being still in the Army Reserve.
So it's a very careful balancing act. And it's an area where I've kind of been beat up and bruised in the automotive industry a little bit because of the dealerships I worked in. It's tough. It's really tough when you're a service advisor, for example, like they need you in the building. And then when the Army says, well, we need you to be here, it's like, well, I have to listen to them. There's like a federal order that's telling me I got to go over here and do this thing. And it's very hard on the employer. So to balance it, you've got to find a really good employer that can actually support those upcoming absences. They try to plan these things as best as possible, but as we've seen, every now and again, something happens and it's like, well, I've got to go. I got to go do some stuff for the Army now. It's been a part of my life for 13 years. I joined when I was 19. I shipped out the basic training on my 20th birthday. Uh,
Wow.
I'm 32 now. So I've been in for a long time, and yeah, I can't imagine a scenario in my life without it at this point. And I'm over the hump, so I might as well go for retirement, is what I'm thinking.
For sure.
So yeah, it's been a very incredible, and honestly, it's what's incredible about it is so much of what I've learned and done in the military actually aligns with what I do in the automotive industry. Like, for example, when I was in command of a company, one of my platoons was a maintenance platoon. So we actually had an auto shop in my company in the army that I was running. So a lot of times the jobs you find in the civilian world, you will find in the army. So there are those synergies in place.
I have heard that, with a lot of programs too, hiring veterans into the auto industry because it does very much align. Like shout out to I think the car coffee guys, they were in the military or one of them one. I think they both were actually. Yeah. And I remember talking to them about how it aligns a lot. Um so with your role with Rock Ed now and then all your experience with auto and military, what is most exciting about this new launch with the parts curriculum?
I mean, the exciting thing is just the enablement that it's gonna bring to the parts associates and parts managers. I mean, Kaylee, you mentioned earlier that people are like, "Hey, there's, like, no training. I can't find training." It's now being served up, and that's something that in the industry as a whole, we've always kinda struggled with. I mean, that's why Rocket is here, and we're here to serve up that training and give that performance management, give that transparency that sometimes is hard to find. And it's not even that dealerships are not interested in training their people. I suspect that they are. I think really it's like who has time? I mean, dealerships are controlled chaos. I think back to my time as a service advisor and was like my manager, like, when did we all have a time to take a knee and do like a training class in the middle of a workday when the service lane is packed out to the road and we got technicians needing stuff and the phones are ringing? There's just not time for it. So we need a time solution. And that's a lot of what Rocket does because we're short form micro learning videos, 1 to 3 minute clips on an app. You can watch 1 or 2 clips over your lunch, learn 2 lessons. It takes about 6 to 10 minutes of your time. And then you're right back on the service lane, right back on the parts department, right back on the shop floor doing your job using those lessons you just learned over your lunch break, for example.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, but you already answered it. What makes your training different? And it's the micro learning because no one has time. Literally, like it's complete chaos. So with the dealerships that are using your guys' platform, aside from like doing a couple of videos on lunch, like how are they succeeding or what are they doing with their teams to help it, get people to actually do the training?
So what's cool about Rocket is we have some gamification in there. So every time you watch a video, every time you do an interaction, anytime you do anything on the app, you get stars or points. And from that, you get put on a leaderboard. And like every time I watch something on Rocket, I see myself go up or down the leaderboard in comparison to the other people at Rocket. And it creates internal competition. So managers can leverage that as like, hey, I notice you're at the bottom of the leaderboard. Maybe hop in there, do X, Y, and Z. They can also assign training. So if they're using our product like a booster product or something like that, where they can actually see somebody's performance, they can say, "Hey, I noticed that like you're trending pretty low on your brake sales. Maybe I can assign to you this brake certification course on Rocket. Go ahead and watch that over the course of the next month, and let's see how you perform from there." So there's a lot of different options and enablement tools there for managers and leaders to help their associates and their parts or service advisors to get to where they need to be, which is the next level.
Yeah, that's huge to help them with the I know I like to like be on a leaderboard or like have stars when I complete things and track. It's way more exciting. I was gonna ask you about the it was a good question. I totally lost it. I do all the time.
It's okay.
Oh, yeah, I know. But anyways, with what you guys are doing, what are some of the things that like how do dealerships reward their team? Because you said that they are keeping track of leadership board and you get like gamification with rewards, but like are dealerships actually taking it to the next level of like giving rewards and like giving some incentives?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen some dealerships take it upon themselves to run some internal competitions, give out prizes, different things like that. There's a lot of different ways. I mean, you can just use the gamification inside of Rocket as just like that's it. And some dealerships will add on top of that with some special incentives and things like that. It's no different than back when I was an advisor prior to Rocket even existing. Like they would do, whoever sells the most alignments this month gets a gift card for X, Y, and Z. You can take that sort of a practice and you can apply it to Rocket and training. And we've seen some of that with dealerships before. But generally, just having the points in the leaderboard, sometimes even the streak, there's a streak feature. So every time you log into Rocket and do something, your streak continues on. My streak's like 1,100 days strong. So no one's catching me. But that's also another thing. Like nobody wants that streak to go away. So there's a lot of tools that we use to just get people excited about engaging with training. And it's fun. Short form clips. That's how people consume social media nowadays. Try to get somebody to watch a 15-minute video. It's not happening. I create content on social media, 3-minute clips. Most people watch 20% of every clip and leave a comment and leave. And that's consistent with all of my content creator friends. Attention spans are short. It's a digital age. That's why we create short form content to keep their attention for the time that we need. Drill into a subject, get back out, they can get back to work.
Okay, so now I remember the question because it was around like what the program actually covers. Because there's a lot. Like, I mean, obviously, every role in the dealership is super important, but focusing on a parts manager's role, there's a lot of detail and data and just things to understand aside from, how to, serve customers. Like, that's kind of the basics. But like, when it comes to inventory control, pricing, all of that, how do you guys dig into the details of that? Obviously, the short form can cover it, but I'm just curious, like walk me through like I'm a parts manager and I can, access this information. How am I learning from this? Cuz I feel like cuz I just know what I know about parts and inventory control. I'm like, okay, yeah, you can tell someone what the obsolescence is, but how do you help them forecast it? How do you go into the details of like what actually caused it? Like those types of things. So, I'm just
Yeah,
curious.
so it's a super big question. But basically, data is information. So we have content that specifies what data is, what it means, and what it can indicate. And then we actually have interactions afterward where like maybe we'll present to you a certain data, a certain number in comparison to an average, and you can tell me what that number means, and we'll let you know if you're right or wrong, and you can practice on it that way. Another approach.
Quizzes, right? You guys have quiz? Yeah.
Yep, we have quiz features. Also, like after every third guide or so, that's not always the number, but like say after every third guide, an interaction will pop up. And you'll have to use the tools that you learned from the last three guides to answer this interaction. And maybe it's a fill in the blank, it's a matching, maybe there's a scenario and you got to pick the correct answer. Sometimes it's a multiple choice question, but it's some sort of interaction to kind of challenge your learning. It's like a check on learning. And if you get it right, you're good to go. If you get it wrong, maybe go back and watch that guide one more time and sharpen that skill a little bit. So, just another way to open up your ability to learn. Another thing that we talk about really in detail with managers, and we talk about this in leadership in general, is communication is so important. And that's like a two-way street. Um, Connecting with your parts associates who are on the front lines, getting the information before anybody else is super important. I know that our DMSs give us a ton of data, but a lot of times our parts associates are on the counter seeing trends in real time. That's valuable information to a parts manager. So our content that's launching will train parts associates to notice those trends and let their manager know about it, and train managers to be asking their parts associates about trends they might be noticing.
That's big, yeah. Because they can't be everywhere all the time, so training the parts, counter to help with that is huge, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's a lesson in ownership, because a lot of parts associates and advisors, I'm thinking about myself back when I worked in dealerships, like, what can I control? I don't have any authority here. I just clock in, do my job. That's the sentiment that we sometimes have. But you actually have a lot more ownership than that. Like when I was a service advisor checking in customers, I was noticing trends. I was noticing customers were more into buying maintenance, less into buying maintenance. Maybe there was a certain campaign or recall that was making people kind of nervous, that sort of stuff. Maybe loaner cars were becoming more important. Don't know why that is. I'm noticing these trends, but my manager doesn't because he's doing his or her job in their office, and they don't have that frontline access. So me to deliver that information to the leadership allows them to react to support me and vice versa.
Yeah, that's huge, and then so if I'm a parts manager listening right now, or a parts count like anyone really at the dealership, how do I access this? Like, because I think it's like a free version, right? So you can test it out and then you can there's different packages. I know that's a lot to cover with this episode, but how do I
Yeah.
access the free version?
So to access the Rockhead preview, that's the free version where you'll get a select amount. And it's a good, healthy amount of content on there that you can consume on the free version. All you have to do is go to your app store, if that's the Google Play or the Android, whatever, or the Apple, wherever your app store is. Find Rockhead, download it. It'll prompt you through a couple of things, super simple stuff like what's your email, for example, and then you'll have access. You'll be in there. You'll be able to see at least the preview version. And there's options from there if you want to talk about getting your dealership signed up for a more full subscription where you get all of the content, all of the certifications, all of the good stuff.
So cool. Okay, so we'll make sure that we put the link to the app, and then once you download the app, you guys can log into that. So that's really easy. And you get to have a preview version, which will give you how many videos, or did you cover that? It's actually
I
till
Yeah, no, it's a lot. I don't know because I know the preview version because there's a preview version for tech schools, for example. Like students can actually access a certain group of content, but it's different. That's the world I've been kind of working in, and that's a different number. But I can tell you that there's 7 free hours for schools, so there's probably more. Actually, there is more for dealerships. I think it's like
oh,
8 to 10 hours. It's a lot of content. When you talk about hours of content in 3 minute clips, that's a lot of content. We only recommend 1 to 2 guides a day, about 6 minutes. When you
okay.
take that and put that over, it's several months of content that you're gonna be able to
Yeah,
consume.
that's a good point too, and that's a really good goal because you're not like I know when I set a goal for stuff and I'm like, oh, okay, I want to do it all in the day, and then I get completely overwhelmed. If you just set yourself a goal of like, hey, 6 minutes a day, that's all it takes. Do a couple guides and then you just move on. It's not like this crazy, like over thought out training that's gonna drain you. It's just like 6 minutes a day.
Right, and on top of that, Kaylee, when you think about it, if you watch a 15-minute video, at the end of the 15 minutes, tell me what happened in the first 5 minutes. Tell me the lessons you learned at that point in time. It's hard to recall those things. So when you watch a 1 to 3 minute clip, you retain like 90% of that stuff, and then you take that with you to the service lane, you practice it, or the parts department, wherever you practice it. Next day, you learn a new lesson, you practice it. That's how we solidify the learning.
Yeah, yeah, that's a great point too, because when you learn stuff, it's you can only retain so much. So that is huge. I've known about Rocket for a long time. I've interviewed dealerships that use Rocket and love it. So it's really exciting to see you guys growing and just continuously adding. You guys, how long have you guys been around? I can't remember now.
We're celebrating 5 years. 5 years
Yeah.
now. Yep,
Okay.
5 years.
Yeah, and you have a lot of programs with the manufacturers and doing training with the manufacturers. Pretty much have all of them, right? I mean, I feel like
Close to I mean, we've got quite a few OEMs, a ton. I mean, over half, well over half. I think there's 16,000 dealerships. I think we have like 11,000 dealerships that are enabled on Rocket now.
yeah.
And we also have a lot of partners like Dealer Tire and Wrenchway and other organizations
Mhm.
that work with us as well. So yeah, we're in all directions, and it is a one-stop shop for all of your learning content. We call it Rocketified, where it's those 1 to 3 minute clips. Yeah, and some of it's custom, some of it's core and organic. That's the world that I live in, and yeah, it's a really cool thing because I can log into it and I can see my OEM training, my dealership training, my dealer tire training, like whatever organization we have tied to us. It's all right there. It's a bunch of tiles. I click on it. I watch the content. I'm back out on the service lane. I'm back out on the shop floor. I'm back out doing my job, learning and
Yeah.
doing my job.
Yeah, that's another thing I want to make sure we highlight too, because we already kind of touched on it. But the fact that you guys partner with vendors that can provide training like Dealer Tire and just having it in one place so they don't have to go to all different directions to get some training. That's a huge deal. And then the micro learning piece of it. So if you need to learn more about Dealer Tire, you can just, learn and move on.
Yeah, I mean, it's integrated. When you think back to like being in a dealership, I had like 27 logins and I had to log into like 300 different things to do my job. And it's like when you add 17 more training platforms I got to log into, it's like forget about it. So when you have like one simple solution on your phone that you can tap into and all of your training lives in this one spot, it's super easy to manage that, for example, and to keep on top of it. It's
Yeah.
less lift for the individual who's trying to learn.
Exactly. It's a complete no-brainer. Is there anything that you wanna add that I didn't touch on about the new, curriculum that you guys are launching for parts? I feel like we
Yeah, I
covered
mean, yeah, no, we did. It was a lot, and I talk fast too, so that's part of it. But we are covering content for both parts managers and parts associates. So 4 of the 10 collections are for parts managers, and then the rest of the collections are for parts associates. Some of these collections will have what we call a certification tied to it, to where it's a curriculum that's so strong and so actionable and so numbers focused, can move a needle that you can actually certify in it. So what that means is when you complete the say 30 videos of this collection, you have the opportunity to take a test in the Rocket app. If you pass it, you will earn your industry recognized certification that you can post straight to your LinkedIn, put right onto your wall. It's a nice looking certification. It is industry recognized. Rocket has quite a few certifications now. I've been blessed enough to be a part of quite a few of them, and we are rolling those out for parts associates and managers to now earn so they can actually become certified in the important skill sets they know that they need to be successful in the parts department.
Oh, finally, some training and some attention on parts because it's so overlooked. I love that you guys are doing that, and it's awesome to go through training, get certified, and continue to learn. So you guys are doing some awesome things. I'm really excited. Thanks for coming on the podcast. Do you want to add anything else?
No, that's it. That's it. If you have not checked out Rocked, just make sure that you do check out Rocked. There is a free version in the App Store. Check it out. See if you like it. I suspect that you will, and go from there. And if you're already on Rocked, just be aware that this content is coming out. If you are signed up for our basic plan, you will see this content. As a matter of fact, you should see it right now. I know the podcast is launching a little later than recording, but it is currently up and it is out there, and people are consuming it as we speak. So very exciting stuff for us right now.
I know. I can't wait to hear more and see the results of it. And we will have the link to the app too, so you guys in the description, so you guys can download it. Thanks so much, Chris, for coming on.
Yes, thank you, Kaylee.